So here's the basic LM386 audio amplifier. It's got an input, which is coming from my iPhone. It's got a power supply, which in this case is just a battery, power switch with an LED indicator light, and a signal output. Running it is pretty straightforward. It requires only a few capacitors. So this is the box I'm going to use to prepare it for the amp. First thing, check orientation, so I want that to be up. So when I lay it down, this is going to be the top up here. So this is the speaker I'm going to use. It came out of a TV set. By itself it doesn't sound very good. When it's in an enclosure it sounds much better. Figure out your placement and then mark the holes. To ensure a good clean hole, use a drill. Once the holes are drilled, do a dry fitting with all the hardware to make sure it's going to work. I'm just using some screws up out at the hardware store with a nut on the end. Looks like all the holes lined up just fine. So now we need to cut a hole for the speaker for the sound. To cut the opening for the speaker, I prepared a dummy. In the middle is going to be the square I'll cut out so the sound can be propagated. I've cut the prototype out so I'll have stencil. So next thing you gotta line it up properly and kind of line the holes up with the sunlight. So once it's lined up with the holes, just use a piece of tape and tape it down. Now you just want to very carefully score all the edges and just slowly cut through all the layers of the box so you don't have a raggedy edge. So once the hole is cut and you have a quasi-clean square hole, do a dry fitting once again for the speaker. See if you need to enlarge the box. Alright, so the dry fit looks good. Looks like it's a good size. You don't want to see the edges of the speaker, so that's a success. So now we just need to cover up those edges in there. So I've never done this before, but we'll give it a shot. I'm just going to wrap the edges of the box with electrical tape, and I think that should provide adequate coverage and a good clean look. I don't know how it'll last in the long run, but maybe somebody makes a product for crimping on an edge like this. So the concept is you cut a piece of electrical tape that's exactly the length of that inside corner, and then you can just wrap it around onto the inside. And you're left with a nice dark clean edge. Okay, so after all sides are wrapped, it looks okay. Like I said, I'm sure there are some other solutions, but this was the first thing I thought of. Seemed like it'd go fast. So before you start installing all the components, you'll want to remove one side of the inside box. So we'll be able to install components on the outside box and still be able to slide the cover on and off. Now on the outside box, drill 2 holes, one for the power switch and the other one for the LED indicator light. And just to reiterate, the purpose of that hole that we had cut in the top of the box, or that opening, was so we can have our switch and our LED up top and still open and close the box. Next, I used a little piece of fabric from the front of a speaker to cover up the opening so you won't be able to actually see the speaker. Lastly, I made one more hole on the back and the bottom for the 1/8 inch cable to run out into the MP3 player. So the speaker is going to get bolted down. It's got an 1/8 inch mono jack coming out of it, and that'll go into the 1/8 inch output of the amplifier, and the input to the amplifier will be coming through this cable out into the iPhone or whatever MP3 player, and then the switch can turn it on and off. And you could, if you wanted to save space, money, time, whatever, you could just go ahead and hardwire the speaker in. Instead of using an 1/8 inch jack for the output, you could just wire the speaker straight in. Same with the input, but I wanted to be able to take this audio amp out and use it in other purposes if I wanted to, so left myself the flexibility of using it later. Next, the power switch gets put in place, followed by the LED. They'll just get put right up in a hole up there. They make some LED sockets that would probably be better, but I don't have any right now. Okay, so here it is all assembled. Let's give it a shot here. Power on, sound. Not bad sound coming out of a little TV speaker.